What's up YouTube? Today I'm going to be going over an Omega Strikers tier list. I'm sure a lot of you are new to the game, still trying to figure out who you want to play, and I'm going to try and help you with that. I'm going to just go from left to right, and first up is Atlas. Now Atlas is a goalie. His kit is pretty strong, just based off the kit, even if it's nerfed or buffed or whatever it is, just simply the abilities that he has will always make him a viable goalie. I don't think he's in his best shape right now, but I still think that he's pretty good. So I'm going to put him in the A tier. Next up, we have Drakkar. Drakkar is pretty strong. He's not the best bruiser right now, but that's not to say he's not good and that he can't compete with the top bruiser. So I'm going to put him in the A tier. I think Drakkar's R ability with Castellas is really what keeps him viable. It allows him to slow enemies for an eternity and sets up beautiful KOs for him. Without that, he wouldn't be very viable. Also take prime time on him to give him a third shoddy shot at level 10. And then when he gets 10 with Castellas and prime time, then he's a real force. Next up, we have Dubu. Now, Dubu is a fan favorite, but I don't think he's that strong. I think that as a goalie for Dubu, he doesn't really have that much map presence outside of his own crease compared to other goalies. And as a forward, I feel like everything he excels at forward, there's other characters that do what he does and better. So for that reason, I'm going to put him in the B tier. Next up, we have Era, and Era can slow enemies. She can make them smaller and weaker. She can buff her own teammates, making them bigger and stronger. And then she can also make them faster. And on top of that, she has a tornado. So if used correctly, she is incredibly hard to play against. I'm going to put her in the S tier because if you know how to play Era, you can control a game. Next up, we have Estelle. Estelle is also very strong. She also, like Drakkar, uses the primetime training, which gives her a second snipe at level 10. I think Estelle can be argued in the S or A tier right now. I'm going to put her in the S tier. I think that a really good Estelle is just so hard to play against. Next up, we have Juliet. And now, right now, Juliet is a literal pick or ban. If you don't play her and you're playing against one, you're probably going to lose, and vice versa. It goes both ways. I think that Juliet right now is just S tier. If there was another tier above S, she would be in it. Next up, we have Juno, who's probably another fan favorite, but I don't think she's very good. I think that when you first get into the game, Juno is going to seem really good because she can control the core so well, but once you start playing a little bit of a higher level where people are playing for KOs a little bit more, she's not as strong. She is viable. I'm going to put her in the C tier, and that's not to say you can't play her, because you can, and she can work even in high elo, but I think that it's much more of a challenge to make Juno work than it is Juliet. Next up, we have Kai, and Kai as a goalie right now, I feel like is the best goalie. I don't think he's that great as a forward. The way that he can block shoves and move the core around so easily while also doing damage across the entire map, I think it makes him the top goalie right now, so I'm going to put him in my S tier. Next up, we have Luna, and Luna as a goalie does a lot of what Kai does. She can do damage from across the whole map. She can also dash across the whole map, and with eject button, she can just teleport right back to her own goal. I think the only thing that separates her from Kai is that she has absolutely no way of blocking shoves. So as an actual goalie, she can't really make saves as well as Kai. So I'm going to put her in the A tier. Next up, we have X, and X is probably everybody's least favorite character to play against. He is actually very easily counterable. If you can outscale him, then he's basically useless. And every time he does a spin attack, you actually have to walk towards him instead of away, because if you walk away, you'll get hit by the outer ring of his spin, and that will do way more damage than if you're standing right next to him. And I feel like once people learn that, he won't be as strong. But he is still pretty strong. I think he goes into the A tier. It's just a bruiser meta. All right, YouTube, this is my tier list. This is not to say that you cannot play anybody in the bottom, and I know there's not many. I think the game is pretty balanced right now. You can play anybody and do well, and even Juno and Dubu, even though they're the only two outside of the A and S tier, they're still also good. So I hope you guys enjoyed my little insight on it. You all have a great day, and I'll see you all soon.